let's argue about semantics today, because yeah, when it comes to my favorite hockey team, the Vancouver Canucks, this is what I spend most of my day doing when I'm not making videos, when I'm not, going out on walks and stuff like that. I'm thinking about the Canucks, and I'm thinking about what exactly is it that can define their success next year. Yeah, we've got like a month to go till the NHL season starts, so of course, I think a lot of you might relate in thinking about hockey way too much when we probably shouldn't be. What I wanted to do was go over onto a tweet by Thomas Drance and go over what Patrik Allvin said the Vancouver Canucks had as their core pieces. Now, I wanted to preface this entire conversation by highlighting the comments that Allvin made previously during the 21-22 season, where he pretty much said that the Vancouver Canucks don't have a superstar caliber player. Now, from what I remember, there were some people that kind of got a little pissed off that Allvin was dissing his own hockey team in that way. And you could even argue, hey, he wasn't really dissing the team, he's just kind of saying what it is, what is the truth about this team. That, okay, you talk about superstar players, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon. Are anybody on the Vancouver Canucks of that caliber? I mean, it's fair to probably go out there and say no, but that's kind of the point that Allvin was making when he made that comment all those months ago. Now, we're looking at a different Allvin comment where he talks about the team's core in a collective way, and it illuminates a few differing ideas I feel Allvin has about his club in general. Patrik Allvin name-checks Quinn Hughes, Thatcher Demko, Bo Horvat, Elias Pettersson, and JT Miller as Vancouver's core pieces. He notes that he rates that group among the best core groups in the NHL. Now, firstly, there is a difference between going out there and saying that, hey, my team does not have a superstar of a player in a guy like Sidney Crosby in his prime, or Connor McDavid or a Matthews. It's fair to go out there and say that even though JT Miller had 99 points, he's not necessarily a guy in the same caliber of talent as a guy who also had 90-plus points like Artemi Panarin or a Mitch Marner, or guys that barely cracked 100 like Tkachuk. It's fair to say that even though Elias Pettersson is a player that can probably get to 90, maybe 100 points, and be a superstar down the line, that he's not really there yet, and I think it's fair to say the same about Hughes. Now, if you want to talk about real superstar players on this core, I mean, Thatcher Demko is right there, and he is listed as a member of this core. It's just, when Patrik Allvin says the Canucks don't have a superstar caliber player, I don't think he's really referring to the goaltenders because, Demko is a top goalie in the NHL. There's only really a few that you could name that are better than him: Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, maybe Saros, and then it's a conversation of Markstrom, Demko, and I guess Connor Hellebuyck too. Throw in Ilya Sorokin and you kind of have yourselves the group of the top goalies in the NHL, and Demko is definitely a part of that. But for skaters on the team, okay, let's keep this core the way it is with Hughes, Demko, Bo, Petey, and Miller. It's interesting to note how Allvin says that this core is among the best cores in the NHL. And when you take a look at things in isolation, it's a pretty good core. You have 3 30-goal scorers in there, a 16-year 70-point defenseman in Quinn Hughes, and Thatcher Demko. And so when you try to project where this core can go in the next few years, it's obvious that the talent is there. Petey had 68 points in 80 games played last season. Quinn Hughes had 68 points in 76 games. Bo, as we said, was on pace for like 36 total goals on the year. JT Miller had 99 points, so that's really good. So obviously there is talent here. Especially with the magnitude of goodness that Thatcher Demko brings on the crease, this core definitely is one to be reckoned with. However, what I also wanted to focus on was a conversation that actually popped up a ton in the replies to this Thomas Drance tweet. Hey, Patrik Allvin is saying that Hughes, Miller, Horvat, Petey, and Demko are all part of the core. But where's Brock? Is Brock Boeser part of the Vancouver Canucks core? And honestly, there are some replies that go out there and say, yeah, I kind of feel like Brock's not a part of that group anymore, man. Where you have players like Bo, Petey, Quinn, Miller, and Demko who can win you games, take over a few shifts in a row, take over a period, and be the reason you win a game. Brock Boeser has not really shown off, I feel, that same sort of swagger over the past few years. Now, I know there are a lot of things going on with Brock. Injuries with the wrist, he had so many injuries the past few years, and of course this previous season with his father, the unfortunate news with him. There definitely is a lot more than meets the eye to Brock Boeser and the game that he played, but still, at the end of the day, when we're talking about pure hockey playing ability, what we had seen from last season, I feel, was that Brock Boeser sort of took a back seat when it came to being the productive goal scorer that he was. Heck, Connor Garland had more points than Brock Boeser this previous year. I know he played 6 more games, but still. Brock has had some good years in the past. We know that his rookie season was arguably the best season he's ever had. He had 29 goals in that season. He probably should have had 30 if he played the full year. Thanks, Jake Virtanen, for leaving the door open. And you also have to remember that in the shortened season 2020-2021, Brock Boeser was the Canucks' leading point guy with 49 points in the 56 games that he had. He was under a point per game. It's just kind of crazy because heading into 2021-2022, there was no other player, I feel, other than Elias Pettersson, who eventually bounced back, than Brock, who suffered so badly under the Travis Green start at the beginning of the year. We had seen Brock go out there and start to score a few more goals when Bruce Boudreau took over, and there was a stint or two where we sort of felt like, yeah, okay, Brock is back. He's here, baby. But at the end of the day, Brock Boeser, I feel like there's so much that we can expect for him to improve for next season that, I don't know, maybe we've just been so overexposed to the idea of Brock breaking past that rookie season he had in 2017-18 that when he doesn't go out there and immediately does that, it kind of leaves a bad aftertaste. This is what I kind of mean, because when it comes to Brock, there are so many idiosyncrasies of his game that I feel like a lot of people have started to pick up on over the past few years. How he's not really the best on his board battles. How when he's passing it out front in the corner on the power play, he's more prone to making a bad pass now comparative to anybody else on that power play. Bo, Petey, Miller, or Hughes. Brock is more often the guy to mess up that play in the corner, bobble the puck, and lose possession. And just those inconsistencies have started to pile up and up and up over the years that now you have a season where Conor Garland has more points. You have a season where Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson are 68-point guys, both scoring more points in one year. In a bad year, by the way, like I think everybody can agree that 2021, 2022 was a bad year for a lot of Canucks people because of the Travis Green start. And these guys produced more than Brock Boeser has ever produced in one season's worth of play. Now, I get it. His season last year, 21, he had 49 points, 56 games played. Do the math on that. 49 divvy 56, multiplied out by 82. Brock Boeser would have been on pace for 72 points, but it has been somewhat of a setback, a slower setback over the years that has sort of displaced Brock from that conversation of being a primary core piece. Heck, even go back the past few years. In 2019-20, the season before he had that 49-point campaign, Tanner Pearson had more points than Brock Boeser that season. You want to find the one thing in common with Miller, Petey, Bo, and Hughes is that they're always in the top 5 of point production for Vancouver Canucks players in any given year. The only exception is Pettersson, who was 6th overall in 2021 because he only played 26 games on the season. The Vancouver Canucks have a pretty good core on paper, especially when you compare each of these players to other players in their position. Demko is one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. Miller is a pretty good forward. He had 99 points. Not too many people go out there and get that amount of production in any given year. Pettersson, you could say, is a top 20 center in the NHL, and Quinn Hughes is obviously a top 15 defender. So it's a pretty good core, all things considered. But for Brock, it's kind of wild to see where things had gone from here, because just a few years ago, Brock Boeser was named as one of the top 20 wingers in the NHL by the NHL themselves, or NHL Network, which I'm not really too sure if it's actually a part of the NHL. I mean, they have the name, so maybe it is, but I don't really know. It's been a few years since then, and Brock Boeser has still yet to show us that he can break past that rookie season's worth of production. Now, we have to see that over 82 games first. We have to actually see him play a full regular season, because the 56-game campaign he had last year, I'm sorry, but the Canucks sucked so much dog water in that season that it's difficult to go out there and say that anybody had a good year, even though Brock Boeser had a 71-point pace on that campaign. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm just being my Vancouver Canucks self that is a little bit too harsh on my favorite hockey team, and maybe I'm not giving my guy Brock the benefit of the doubt. I think because of all the videos I've made over the past 4 years discussing this guy, you would know how much I love Brock Boeser. I love this player. I love the story. I love all the stuff he has done for the community. He is a good dude, Mr. Sensitive for a reason. Brock Boeser is a cool guy and a fun hockey player to watch. When he's on, and he can score some pretty good goals. But how do you feel about my assessment of him not being in the core 5 of Vancouver Canucks players on this team, according to Patrik Allvin? Talk in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99. And bye.